Hola, hola, hola. My name is Niklas Roy. I make art with technology. I'm from Berlin. And I make actually very different types of machines and installations. And this is a screenshot from my website here. There you can see different stuff. And some of those machines and installations that I built are very large, while others are very small. Here at this point, I assumed that there would be a projection and I could use the spotlight and I could show you a very small device like this here. I want to talk about this at the end of the presentation. I will just leave this thing here and turn it on and it will do its thing. So, the talk was announced as a talk about generative art €1, but it's not exactly true. This is the machine that I've built here in the exhibition. But I thought I will talk about DIY plotters because I thought it might resonate with the audience here. Plotters are tools that are quite often used in generative art when it comes to bringing them from the screen onto the paper. And I don't even want to talk that much. I just thought this will be a fire hose of videos here for you to enjoy. So it's a little bit of a high-speed presentation. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. So when I make presentations, I usually present them to my partner, and then she's my producer, and she tells me what I'm all doing wrong, and I have to redo the entire presentation. And the first thing that she told me was, Niklas, you have to explain what a plotter is. There might be people in the audience who don't know that. I'm not so sure about it anymore that I've seen many of you, but I will quickly explain what I mean when I talk about a plotter. So I'm talking about computer output devices. Here we have a computer. It's connected with this plotter. And the plotter is a device that can move a pen here in X direction and in Y direction. Can do this very precisely, and then this creates basically a physical drawing. There are other plotters as well, some with cutting blades. You can use them to cut stencils, for example. But we are talking now about these kind of devices here. So, and I just said you need a computer and you connect it to a computer, but you will see with the very first one, you actually don't need a computer for a plotter to work. You don't even need electricity for a plotter to work. So this is a plotter that I've built in 2013, and I made it out of cardboard. It's a very sturdy cardboard. It's called wood pulp. And it also has some rubber bands involved, and all the tools that I used was just a hobby knife and a ruler. So let's check out this video. So it starts with the paper. Then you need code, of course. So here's a book with draw codes for a Hello World program. So I'm basically entering here X and Y coordinates. And then somehow you have to get the pen on the paper and off the paper also. The gooey stuff that you see here, this is all super glue, which makes the cardboard quite hard. So this was all built without any plan also. I just started and I thought, okay, I need this and maybe I need a gear here, and somehow this shape emerged of the entire plotter. I did not know at the beginning how this thing would look like. Well, but it somehow works. I guess you can read here, Hello World. And I also made this a bit as a test for the next one that I wanted to show you. The mechanism is quite similar, although it has a very different shape and also a different size. So this doesn't look like a plotter at all anymore. It looks like a painter's easel. And I made it together with my partner Kati Hüppe, and we called it the public painting machine. The reason for calling it a public painting machine is because of the use case that we had for it. We were both invited by a street art festival in Poland, which was a little bit interesting because we are both no street artists. But we thought, how about making random people on the street become artists instantly, but like professional artists, the full experience. So basically the people on the street, what they had to do is they had to create an artwork, they had to get an exhibition right away, and then of course, if you want to make them professional artists, they have to sell their paintings, so you have to make sure that this one works out, and they have to make money with it. This was kind of a participatory performance that we called Instant Art Career. And I would even argue that this is also some sort of generative art, although there is no computer algorithm here. It's more like people used as an input, but we were defining a set of rules just by building a machine. That was basically the rule set. The machine was the interface between the people on the street and the art that was created. So this is a video which is a little bit longer, but I didn't want to edit it down because it has very nice music by Go280. Maybe some people know him. So let's have a look. Oh, this has to be louder. Xavi? I can also do something here. Thank you. So one question, we can say this right away because this always comes at the end, is how much is one zloty? I just Googled it again, it's 24 cents. So as you can see, the trick of such an auction is basically just to start low enough and then you can sell anything here. So now let's come to plotters that work actually with electricity. So for the next one, I recycled 2 broken cordless drills. It's not a very precise instrument. This is how I spent my time during the pandemic. I got to know a lot of people in the graffiti scene because it was clear that this plotter would not be very precise. So I used it with spray cans. They're quite thick, the lines that it's drawing, and it doesn't have to be very precise. And I've done a lot of experiments together with my local graffiti people around the corner. and got to know them. But I don't want to go too deep into this because I just gave last year here in Barcelona a talk where I talked a lot more about it. And this talk is also online. You can find it, so you can find a lot of info on it. I will just show you a video of it, and it's a different video than the last time. All right. So the next plotter is not entirely DIY. It's based on an Arithma colograph plotter from the 80s from Czechoslovakia, a country that doesn't exist like this anymore. And I used it also during the pandemic. We live in a shop front in Berlin, and I put this plotter in the shop window. And the idea was that people could control it with their smartphones, and they could leave messages for other neighbors so that they could basically get in touch with each other without touching each other. Yeah, maybe I can tell a little bit something about the history of this plotter, where I have it from. So I had a nerd neighbor in my neighborhood, and we met each other through my shop window. He was always looking in the window, had very big glasses, and at some point we were talking, and it turned out he's a yeah, total nerd, ham radio freak, and he wanted me to help him build an antenna, and I said, sure, I will do it, but I want to see a ham radio station for this. And since then we got to know each other, and he then suffered from dementia, and I became his caretaker. And at some point he had to move to an old people's home, and I had to clear up his basement. And there I found this plotter. He had all kinds of interesting vintage Eastern European technology there. And I just took the plotter and I replaced the electronics, which did not work anymore, just kept the mechanism. And I have used this plotter in a couple of installations since then. But I think it found now its final home in the machine, which is in the back here. So this is the same plotter there. Which is this Generative Art vending machine, where you can buy a piece of Generative Art for €1. If you haven't done yet, then please do so. I can recommend it. All proceedings go to my retirement funds. So now we can have a quick look how this works. So in this machine, you might have seen it in the back, there is a computer inside, and this computer continuously creates a list of 1,000 coordinates, and they are displayed as a line animation on the screen. It's a modified flat screen where I replaced the backlight, or where I just removed the backlight, and there is now the paper behind. And when you drop a coin in there, it will just plot this picture that is on the screen, and you get it as an artwork. And in this case, it also does not take, we have just heard about the randomness that is often involved. In this case, it's a bit different. It takes a different seed. You always need some sort of a number. Basically, you're programming functions which are returning then those 1,000 points, but you need some sort of an input for the function. And the input here is the so-called UNIX Epoch time. This is a time. This is the milliseconds counted since January 1st, 1970. It's just a convention, and all computers on the internet, all servers, use this time. And then the plotter also writes this timestamp below, which is in a way nice, because there are those epoch time converters online, and you can just enter this number, and then you know exactly at which moment on which day you have plotted your artwork. There is also something that I can mention here. Some will know it already. I mean, the idea is that every artwork there is unique, but there is a problem with the uniqueness, because this variable, this time, this will roll over at some point. It's a bit similar to this Y2K problem that we faced from 1999, Sylvester, to 2000. In this case, it's called Apocalypse, and it will happen in 2038, and time will jump back to 1901. So there will be major bullshit with computers going on. You can be prepared already. But I'm not too worried about this, because I think that altogether, even if it jumps back to 1901, the overall time frame is quite long, where you get different drawings, and then still you would have to hit exactly the right millisecond. And anyway, I doubt that the machine will live so long, so it will be broken by then. And if you drop a coin, you will pretty much get a unique drawing out of it. So the user interaction, I mentioned it already, is you drop the coin, and then the plotter traces the drawing, and you have this money counter on top. And as I said, it's 1,000 coordinates, so you always get like 10 coordinates for 1 cent. I think it's a good deal. Then there happens a bit of a theatrical confirmation, which is technically not necessary, but it looks nice to confirm the drawing that you get is really matches really the drawing that you've seen on the screen. So the virtual and the physical basically are compared here. You get a stamp that's an original artwork. then it's cut off, and then you have an artwork, no? Can become an art collector on the cheap here. There is a bit of variation to see, but at the wall you can see a lot more variation that this algorithm can produce. So now let's come back to the little device from the beginning. This is something, it was basically my last project. We had a very rainy summer in Germany, and I was just inside working on a little pocket plotter. I had this idea, it started with building some drawing robots, and then I thought, would be nice, you know, those vibration robots which make like random drawings somehow. And I thought it would be nice if they were more precise. So I had the idea, why don't I just take a pen, put it on wheels with stepper motors so that I can move this pen around very accurately. And it was surprisingly precise actually what came out. And I think it's quite nice that you have like a tiny device or a very tiny plotter, although we are stretching the concept of a plotter here. But as you can see on the drawings, on all those pictures, you can make surprisingly precise drawings with this little device on large surfaces. But what I found even more interesting than drawing predefined vector drawings was to build several of those robots and give them simple behaviors and to use them to make generative art. And this year, when I saw Amy's talk now with the circle segments, that reminded me a little bit of what will happen here now. So we have two different robots. They have different behaviors. One robot is drawing always straight lines and dashed lines, and they are connected by multiples of 30-degree angles. And the other robot has a little sensor in its bottom, so it recognizes when it drives over a line that has already been drawn, and then it just toggles the pen lifting. So it moves the pen up and the pen down. And I leave this here, you can have a look at it, and I will turn this here off. I've also made many more experiments where this was all made on a whiteboard, and I also made a cleaning robot that cleans up the whiteboard, also rule-based cleaning. That was also quite interesting. So, I forgot something. So, maybe like this, it's nicer. Also gets a stamp. I have not properly rehearsed this part here, so please bear with me. Hope it's still interesting what happens on the screen. So now, shit. Now we have it. Okay. Of course, I also did not expect that I would make this right in front of an air condition which blows air at the paper. But here we have the result of what the little dude has been drawing while I was talking. So now let's see. Oh, no, yeah, this went well with the timing here now. So, and yeah, this is what came out here. I can explain quickly what the rules of this robot were. So it's a bit similar like the dump robot. It always makes straight lines and then connections of, in this case, 36-degree angles or multiples of 36 degrees, and it goes on. And if it encounters a line that, or if it encountered a line that had already been drawn, it just went a little bit back and it was drawn a parallel line until it could move freely again. And this is how you get all those parallel lines here. So, and as you can imagine, I don't want to take this back to Berlin, and now I want to make an experiment with you. Let's see how this works. I thought I want to try to sell this here right now to the highest bidder in an auction, this artwork. So please get your fiat wallets ready. I will not accept any crypto, just hard cash. And we will start with 10 cents. Is there anyone who offers 10 cents? We have 10 cents already from Amy. 20 cents, anyone? 20 cents, 30, 40, 40 cents, anyone? Here in the back, 50 cent, anyone? 50 cent, all right. Let's step it up a little bit. 1 euro. 1 euro, we have 1 euro here, 2 euros, 2 euros there. 3 euros, anyone? 3 euros, we have plenty of. How far should I go? Right away to 10 euros, or is this, we have 10 euros here. No Bitcoin. So, 15 euros, anyone? Ho, 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 ho. 20 euros, anyone? Oh, no, seriously? Yeah, goes far beyond my expectations. I don't have so many slides. 25, anyone? Or do we stay at 20? 20, seriously? Yeah, okay. 30 euros, anyone? Okay, we stay with 25 euros and the painting is sold. What? Oh, oh, oh! What do I'm too less of a professional. Okay, we leave it for 25 euros, but we will make something else now. You will get it for 25 euros. Gracias. Applause. Okay, and now let's see here. So then this is my final slide. You can check out all my projects on niklasroy.com. You can follow me on Instagram, but I have to say that I post a lot more in the online diary on my website than on Instagram. And now I mentioned already in the roundtable talk earlier that there is a person in Barcelona who has also built such a little robot. That person is Donald in the first row. Another applause for Donald. He also brought a robot. And I think we will just move the table somewhere there, and then we can have a little robot fight, and we can see what they will produce together. So again, gracias. Thanks a lot for your attention.